have more work to do,"
said Minson, before discarding the animal and clipping the black device from the side of the cage. The size of a small jewelry box, with the initials EMMA stamped on the side, he held the device in his hands and turned it from side to side. He looked at it with tender eyes, appreciating the fact that this small box quite possibly could be his golden egg. That is, if he could get it to work for the job he was hired to do. He put it under his coat, opened the garage door, and stepped out into the pouring rain. He hurried to the house, fumbling keys as he wiped the rain from his face, unlocking the side door and stepping into the kitchen. He closed the photo album he'd been looking at earlier of a show dog Ulysses. Yes, he definitely had a soft spot for animals, rest his soul. His prized possession had been one day shy of champion, but his life had been cut short. Images of that dreadful day flashed through his mind, then anger and resentment surfaced again. He tossed the album aside. He didn't have time for that. He gently placed the device on the kitchen table and poured himself a cup of coffee. He sat down, scooted his chair to the table, and slid the device towards him. He then positioned his reading glasses at the tip of his nose and unfolded the instructions. He took off the front cover, and he then studied the tangle of wires. He glanced back at the instructions and plugged in his soldering iron. A few more modifications, and he hoped it would be ready, but he wasn't going to hold his breath. Like the storm, Rolf Minson had blown into New Pinehill just long enough to set up shop and start the experiments. He worked for a large defense contractor that specialized in developing new and unusual weapons. He knew he was a small cog in that giant machine, but he was hoping to change all that. He had two goals to achieve, and he had his dear Zorba to thank for that. Not only would he test his weapon on this quaint little town, but get revenge on that Perry Grandstrom for his atrocities. But none of that would have been made possible had it not been for the good fortune of being contacted by an old rich heiress. Not only did she become his new client, but she sold the defense contracting company this wonderful house he was drinking coffee in. He was hoping to make a name for himself, and that's why he needed the device to work. His cell phone buzzed. He set the soldering iron down.
"Speaking,"
he said impatiently.
"I'm still working on the device. Yes, it's almost ready, but I still have to find the right setting. What do you want? Problem? What problem? Why can't you handle it? I can't be interrupted here. I see. That bad. Then I'll need you here immediately. I'll finish setting everything up. I'll see you then. And remember, there's too much at stake to mess this up. Do you understand? Good,"
he said, before he pressed the off button, irritated. He warmed his hands on the coffee cup, wondering why they couldn't get along without him. They had plenty of people that could handle that situation, but he would deal with that later. Now he had to take precious time out of his busy schedule and go babysit those imbeciles, while his assistant, Urs Dimmler, had to make an unscheduled trip from the company to carry on with the mission. He snickered a little. That was the beauty of it. The company that didn't even know they were helping, except Urs, that is. The CEO that had rejected his plan would have a fit if he knew the plan had gone forward anyway. He'd love to see the look on his face. He had two concerns about this little change in plans. The client, because she demanded the moon, and Urs, because he wasn't skilled in the lab. If the client found out that he had left the operation to someone not as accomplished, to put it mildly, she would have his head.